Hey guys, welcome. Giovanni Williams here. I just want to take time out today to just discuss, just bring some brief information. One of the things I realize is information is like money. If you get money quickly, you don't appreciate it. It's the same thing with information. If people give you information, if people discussing something on YouTube and stuff like that, and they give you every information and you don't go look up the information for yourself, the information is valueless. You understand? Because you didn't put in the hard work to go and look for the information. So you would not appreciate the information you found. You would not, excuse me, you would not appreciate the information you got. But when you go digging for the information, it resonates in you and it stays with you because you went looking for the information. With that being said, I want to say this. I mean, everybody talking about the new world order, and you know, and a lot of people, these are things that's been happening and saying all the time. I'm not new. I'm not the first person on YouTube to make mention of these things. But what I will say is we need to understand certain things. Their predictions, their prophecies. You know, and a lot of times things happening today, there are basically predictions coming to pass because people are making them come to pass. You see, if I sit down and if I tell you, if I go to someone and say, you know what, um, you're gonna get a house, and I know that your father or your mother left or your grandparents left you their house in a will, that's not a prophecy. You understand? It's a difference when you predict the outcome of a score. You understand? A prophecy is when you see into the foreseeable future and you tell someone something and it comes to pass. Okay? Excuse me. So, we gotta be careful because a lot of things we see, we gotta understand too. Remember, the Bible, it was rewritten by people. So people, if I own something, if I'm in charge of something, and I go and I decide, you know what, I'm gonna put this in a book, and then everything that I put in the book, I make come to pass. It's not prophetic. It's not even prediction. It's just me making things happen. And that's been happening a lot in this world today as time passes, that's happening a lot. Those are just scare tactics to make people believe the end of the world is coming. Okay? When we really study an ancient when we really study ancient history, not only ancient history but ancient philosophies and theories and those things, we realize that they were not speaking of the world coming to an end. It was a specific time and age. Okay, whether it was ice age, fire age, or whatever the case. I'm not saying that those are, but it's just basically they're showing you that look, this is the time, and that time has to pass, and this is the amount of time that it will take to pass. Okay, so it basically, we know the story. Myths from ancient Egypt got rewritten as truths and all those, but we're not going to go into that. They have enough videos on YouTube about that. But what I want to say today is we have to understand first thing, in order for this one world order to exist, okay, the church and state have to be working together. Now, when we look at the world today, there's basically one church that has a government that has say in everything that happens around the world, and that's the Vatican. So we go there. That's basically the root of everything. It's the Vatican. Now, when we look at the Vatican, when we look into their history, the name Constantine will come up. And remember, Constantine was not, I wouldn't say the first, but maybe he was one of the first people who used religion as a tool to bring a society under rule. So basically, it's the same thing happening right now. It's basically being used as a tool. You cannot, like I said before, and I said again, you cannot have a one world order if the church and the state are not intertwined. Now, we see a lot of things. A lot of people discussing the Bible, but look at this: church and state should not be together. You have the Vatican, It's a country within a country. It has its own say in world politics and everything. A lot of things that go on behind the scenes. The government of the Vatican have to do with it. Okay, when they have G8 meetings and G7 meetings and all those G meetings, there's a representative from the Vatican that goes to those meetings, not only as a representative but also bearing as basically a a go between the Pope and whoever else. So it's basically the same thing like government. If there's a meeting about certain issues and the government sends out people to those meetings, it's the same thing the Vatican is doing. So there basically we see church and state mixed in together, okay? Because they deal with finances, they deal with all these things. So those are things we have to look into. We gotta be really, really careful of what we're saying and how we're saying it. Because if we want truth, we have to go looking for the truth. Okay? And like I've said before, information is like money. Information is power. And that is why they're really pushing to have a one world order. Because the more time passes, the more information comes out. And as time goes by, we will realize that more concrete information will be coming out about a lot of things, whether it's slavery, whether it's the reality, yes, basically the reality of Africa and its I don't want to say its rule, but its influence on modern civilization on a whole. Those things are going to keep coming out and coming out and coming out. And the information age that we're in right now, in order to put a stop to that, they have to start creating a society that will be able to tell you what to do, when to do it, and why not to do it. Because remember, you have the freedom to think for yourself. With that freedom taken away now, and that's basically what they're trying to do with this one world order, take away your freedom, basically becoming gods on earth, basically, in the sense of not really being a god on earth, but a man posing as a god. Okay, so there's where the political power comes in. You know, now people might look at this video and say that doesn't make any sense, but do your research. Do your research and you will see. You know, because your freedom, the only thing you have that God gave you is the free will to choose what you want to do. And your Bible says that. Okay? You have the free will to choose whatever you want to do. Now, in order for people to believe what you're saying, you have to take away that freedom. You have to take away that freedom for them to think. Because basically, there's nothing new under the sun. So we're going back into an age where you will not be able to read all kinds of books. You know, certain books right now on the internet are very expensive, and you ask yourself, well, why are books so expensive? Really think about it. Certain books on the internet are really, really expensive. Okay, so because everybody can get a book, they have to put certain prices on certain books because of the information that those books pertain. Okay, they don't want certain books out, so they make them very expensive, that only a few people can get those books and read them. That doesn't say that there are not books, other books you can find, were basically in the same category, but it goes to show the books that have the in-depth information, they're going to be very expensive. So that's one of the ways of taking away your freedom. Okay, not being able to spend money how you want and because you want. That's a freedom they're trying to take away as well. That's all those things are being orchestrated in the new world order, the one world society they're trying to create. So those are things we have to look into. And basically, look, information will set you free. You know, reading the Bible, all those things are good. Prayer and fasting and all those things are good. But combine those things with information, relevant information, and you will see that you'll be set free. Okay, that's the most important part. Relevant information, not just any old information. Study. Stop looking for people to give you all the information on Facebook, all the information on YouTube. Stop looking for people to give you the information. Okay, if people reference something, go and look for it. Get into it, dissect it. Because we're coming to a point in a time where they are realizing that people are getting more enlightened. and they need to stop it. And I'm gonna say something here, and the only people in this world that have the power to stand against the New World Order are black people, because they are the blueprint for everything that is going on right now. Black people are that blueprint. So they have to use all kind of tactics in order to keep them oppressed and suppressed. Whether it's using each other, whether it's killing with the music, whatever, all those things are just instruments to keep black people suppressed, for them not to get in touch with their inner self in order to rise up. So they're suppressing the information, and those that are able to get the information, trust me, they're gonna be watching you 24/7. It doesn't mean it's nothing to be scared about. You understand? But when you get the information, use it wisely and stop waiting for people to tell you things. It's good for someone to give you a bit of information, yes. But when you will look up the information, when you study and when you understand for yourself what people are telling you, it will never leave you. It will never leave you. So don't just listen to us on YouTube. My channel is very new. I'm not doing this for numbers. I'm just doing this because I want to share what I learned. It's not going to be nothing new. I'm not the kind of person that I'm not going to go into a whole bunch of statistics and numbers and dig up all the information. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not breastfeeding anyone. There's no babies. The baby time is over. We do that for children. When I'm dealing with my children, I can do that. But when I'm dealing with grown folks who know how to get on the internet and know how to look for all kind of things and do all kind of things on the internet, take the time to go and look for your information. Information is power. Information sets you free. Okay, so don't forget that. In order for the new world order, the one world order they're trying to set up, church and state has to be intertwined, and it is. It basically is right about now. It is. So it's basically two countries in the world that have two countries in within themselves. That's England, and that's Italy. Two countries. If there's more, maybe I don't know. I got to do some more research on that. But England and Italy, basically two countries within a country. Got a Vatican, I think London, if I'm not mistaken, is not a part. But I mean, like I said, do the research, you'll see. And also, when you're doing your research what religious denomination is in is dominant in England, because that also plays a role in this whole situation. Okay, the Vatican is Roman Catholic, basically Christian, basically. So and Christianity has a bunch of stems. I don't think London and England is Roman Catholic. One of the things we have to remember as well as this one world order, you have to realize that Europe always trying to rule the whole world, and Europe's biggest problem is Europe. Okay, so we see they're even trying everything they're doing now to they set up the EU and all those things. Europe's biggest problem is Europe. They're so egotistical and they're so barbaric that they want to rule everything. That is why now the papacy, the Vatican, is basically the leader of the European nations, because they need someone at the helm. Because remember, every European country wants to have the lead. You saw it in ancient times. Spain, London, Holland, all those countries were at war. France, all of them was at war with each other to get prize pieces of land. Okay, so remember now, when America was created, all kind of people went to America. The Spanish went first, everybody, and they tried to coexist in America. Okay, so that's where now America was just basically like how should I put it? I don't want to say a clone, but it was like a case study to see if Europeans could have coincided with each other. Because before America, they couldn't. They had war with each other. They were always at war with each other for who was better than the other, who had the biggest fleet, who had more army, who had this, who had that. So those were things they were always at war with each other. So basically the Vatican is basically trying to be the glue to gel them together. And if not if history repeats itself. There's nothing new under the sun. So we have to be careful now. We have to put in our minds. We have to understand, okay, where we go from here. Okay, because it's not gonna stop, but eventually it will fall apart. Because why? Because they cannot coexist with each other. They cannot. You understand? Everybody wants to sit at the helm. Everybody, and that's where the problem will come in as we go along. I'm not saying that it's not gonna happen, but it will not sustain itself because of the inward bickering and fighting Europe always had. See? So that's why the Vatican now is sitting down at the helm. Okay, so that's why the church and the state have to come together because basically all of Europe is Christian. Basically all of Europe is Christian. So now are Christian states. So in order for Christian states to operate without having animosity within each other, there's going to be you need to have somebody at the helm, and basically that somebody is the Vatican, who are basically the vicars of Christ on earth. So basically, their leader is the Vatican because as Christians they follow who? Christ, and the Vatican is the vicar of Christ on earth. So they have to follow the Vatican, but it will not sustain itself. It will not sustain itself. It will not sustain itself because they always fall apart. And not because of no other reason besides inward bickering. They cannot, Europe and itself, they cannot stand each other. I mean, look at it. Look at it. Do your history, do your research. You'll see. They fought, they had so much fights for land. Okay, until look what they had to dissect Africa for every European country to get its own piece. That goes to show that's very critical to understand. Okay, they had to dissect Africa. Europe couldn't rule Africa as a whole. You see, they're so greedy that everybody had to get their own piece of the pie. They couldn't do it as a whole. So that goes to show. So keep those things in mind. Anyway, my name is Giovanni Williams. Thanks for tuning in. I always say, don't be a dream chaser, be a dream creator. Don't let anyone, no one will create your dreams for you. Thanks for tuning in and peace out.